Of course, we all know Arizona Governor Jan Brewer vetoed that bill last week that would have given business owners in Arizona the right to refuse service based on their religious beliefs. The story's playing out very differently in media. Some say the bill's about religious freedom, while others say it's anti-gay and discriminatory. Mollie Hemingway, senior editor at the Federalist, joining us on EWTN News Nightly to talk about the bill and how the media did in covering the story. Mollie, who would you say presented this in a more accurate way?
Very few people presented it in an accurate way. It was the coverage was overwhelmingly flawed. Almost every media outlet, whether it was broadcast media or print news or anything, local, national, they portrayed this bill, which was a broad religious liberty bill, as anti-gay. And it was almost as if they hadn't read the bill, even though the bill was only 2 pages long. They did not cover the actual content of this bill well at all.
In fact, let's look at 2 specific headlines, these tweets that we'll show you. The Washington Post called this an anti-gay bill. And of course, on the other side, the Wall Street Journal got it as a religious freedom bill. How can 2 news sources take the exact same bill and have such a different way of looking at it?
Well, it speaks to a larger problem that the media are having right now, which is how they cover religious liberty in general. And we've seen this with how they cover religious attempts to fight the contraception mandate in Obamacare. And now you're also seeing it with this Arizona bill and similar bills. This legislation is actually not that hard to understand. It's something that we have at the federal level. It's called RFRA, Religious Freedom Restoration Act legislation. And this was a tweak at the state level of a bill that provides broad religious liberty protections to people of all religion and none. And in fact, when this bill was started, it was started to protect the worship practices of Native Americans from government encroachment.
Do you think the reporters just don't get it, or are they intentionally misrepresenting?
I think that it's true that reporters sometimes struggle with actually understanding things. We are not the brightest people on the planet, and we sometimes struggle to understand the things we cover. But I think also this speaks to a larger issue of activism in the media. And on this issue in particular, reporters just struggle. They have a hard time covering this objectively or with any semblance of fairness. And we're seeing the fruits of that now, and it actually hurts civil discourse in America. This was a bill that really needed to be debated and thought about in a considerate fashion, and that's not what happened.
And certainly the discussion about this continues to be very heated. What do you do at the Federalist? How do you try to bring politics and culture together? Yeah,
we cover a broad array of topics, politics, policy, and what we found is that all politics is cultural, basically. And also all politics are imbued with what one's understanding of virtue is. And so we try and talk about what virtue is in all of our pieces and how a virtuous people lead to a free society.
All right, Mollie Hemingway with the Federalist. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.